Truthdare Doubledare was released after 40 years. How did you feel 40 years ago? Yes, mine is on the way. My three CDs on the way. So how did you feel 40 years ago, and how do you feel after 40 years? So nowadays.
Right, well, 40 years ago, I was like 26. So, you know, when you're 26, you've got the world beneath your feet. You feel like you can do anything, you can achieve anything if you're very lucky to have a creative mind that will send you on a journey of discovery about yourself and about how you work as a person. And as a writer as well, I'd like to think that some of this that comes from the inside can come to the outside as well. So, I mean, I wasn't as deep as that 40 years ago. However, we did have that kind of connection with all three of us. Well, I'm going to say all four because Anthony Kowalski was our manager. But I mean, I was on the same level with Anthony as I was with Larry and Steve because of just being really good friends. And so at that time, you know, it was fun. It was just fun. And having come from Newcastle, where I was living, I don't come from Newcastle, I come from Basildon in Essex.
There was a Depeche Mode also and stuff. Oh, okay, I didn't know it.
And Alice and Moye too. We all come from Basildon. And so. You know, with recording Hit That Perfect Beat and thinking we're not sure whether this is going to be a hit or not. We kind of sort of thought, if we're really lucky, we might get away with this. and it went. So then that made me really happy. So I came from the streets. Basically, I was living in a squat. I was going out, I was doing music on the street, I was doing performances on the street. So, you know, I didn't care. So I came to London to see the boys, and then it just all happened. So my feeling then was of excitement and joy, and my feeling of I should be here. But my feeling now, it isn't far from that, because I've gone through a lot of metamorphosis in over the 4 decades of whether I do like the songs or whether I don't like the songs. And I mean, I can pick them apart like that and fall out of love with them. But also having that record, to be with a band like Bronski Beat, it just it gave me a privilege, actually. And I wasn't, it's not as if I was a Bronski Beat member, I was a Bronski Beat employee. So I was just employed to do my work, basically, and to write with Steve and Larry. We do this album, because Hit That Perfect Beat went off. London Records were going, oh, we must get an album out before the Communards and da-da-da. And they were talking about 3 months here. They weren't talking like, oh, you can take your time, we can go for a year, you know, to make an album. Some people do. Some people take a very long time to make an album. Anyway, in 3 months, that's what we did. So we made the album. But I'm so thankful for it. And especially on the 40th anniversary, because there was a reason why, and I can't tell you actually why it wasn't released earlier. I can't tell you that. It's a secret. and I wish I could, but it sort of sends. No, I couldn't. I just couldn't. I can't put the boy down.
Okay. So Hit That Perfect Beat was a huge hit in the 1986. It's one of my personal favorite track. I really love it, the single. But it was a really different single in compare of Age of Consent album. So who broke the idea to be more high energy or more disco? Who bring this or broke this?
Well, that came about by we were in a kind of a rehearsal studio, and we were there all day trying to work out some songs, and we had bits and pieces here and there. And of course, the boys loved their sequencing and their drum machine, so we were all at it really. And slowly, under these sequences, the bass sequences started to happen, and which was very similar to what they used to do, of course. But they rocked it up a bit, I think. Anyway, so that's how it kind of evolved. It wasn't a thing like, oh right, we're going to make a single and it's going to be high energy. And we never said it was high energy. The papers always said it was high energy. We just thought it was disco.
Yes, this is
disco music.
Disco song. Yes.
So yeah,
Okay. So back in the 1985, try to imagine that that you are walking into a band that had just lost one of the most recognizable voices of the 80s. What was it? Exciting, terrifying, or both?
Yeah, well, because I'd known them over 10 years at that point. 1986, I'd known, well, about 9 years actually. I'd known Larry and Anthony for that amount of time, so that's quite a long time. And I used to just go around with them when they were touring. So I used to be on the bus. I introduced them a couple of times. So I would just become, and as Jimmy left his shoes and went on, I kindly put the shoes to the left and stepped forward into my shoes. I thought I had no thought of doing anything like Jimmy. I had no thought of, oh, we're going to do an album and it's going to sell. I had no thought of Perfect Beat being going around the world and selling what it sold. No thought whatsoever. You don't know when you're at that stage anyway. How do you know? You just don't know. It could have been a total flop, and that would have been it. That would have been the total end of it. As it was, people were confused, especially in the gay community. People were confused with the message of why has Jimmy left, and why am I in Jimmy's shoes when I'm not a great singer. I'm just a singer, and a word person, songwriter.
Perfect one.
So yeah, I just did my best, really.
Yeah. Did you feel pressure from the record label, from the fans, from the quality?
No, it's not my thing. I don't do that. It's just not my thing. Even though there were pressure from the record company, I wasn't involved with the record company, as I said. I didn't get signed to the record company, so I was just on a wage. So I didn't get involved with the deciding of the record, the decision of the artwork, the decision of the video thing. I had a little bit involvement with the videos and stuff, but I just wasn't a part of them. They were the managers, and I was just like on the shop floor, really. So it just was going on around me. It didn't worry me. I just couldn't care less, really. And that's my nature, actually. I mean, everything falls off me. I can't take on pressure. Really. I don't do pressure. Well, not anymore, I don't. Even then, I didn't.
And what was the reason that you released only one album together with the band?
Well, it got complicated, and some people started to get a bit poorly. Steve, really. I mean, he was you know, he was starting to go downhill with his health a bit at that time. But when they sacked me. They had to sack me for them to move on, you see. So, I mean, I could have taken them to a tribunal or something like that, but I'm not bothering. I wouldn't bother with that. So I got dismissed from the band, and a year later, Steve called me and said, "Oh, do you want to come to America? We're doing a few tours." I was working as a manager in a restaurant, and I said to him, "Well, I'm in, you know, in this job, man. I've been working here for a long time, and you know, I've got a lot of responsibilities." I said to him, "If you can send me $3,000, like tomorrow, now, I will be on that plane the next day." So I left work. I walked into work the next day and I said, "Oh, look, I'm really sorry. I'm leaving now." And I was so sad because their face was like, "Oh my God, what are we going to do?" Because I was just the best at it, you know. So it was a tragedy for them, but it was quite a good feeling just to say, "Look, you can keep me holiday money. You can keep all the money that's, you know, the last month's money and what have you. Hey, I don't need anything. Buy them off."
If you could spend one afternoon back in the 1986, where would you go first? To the recording studio, tour bus, stage, or dressing room?
Yeah, well, I mean, it would have to be all over. I mean, me and Steve, we love to travel, and I would be on a plane with Steve, going to Hawaii, setting up camp in Honolulu, and just doing the little clubs that are there. That was really cool when we did that, because there was no pressure. We just hung out there for a couple of weeks and just did guitaring on the beach, and a couple of we had a backing track and a team with us of singers and dancers and backing vocalists, so you know, we were on it. So that's where I would go, back to that point.
Do you remember the first time you heard one of your songs from the radio, from the TV?
Yeah, it was a rush. Yeah, I can't quite remember the precise time, but I think it was. I used to live in Oxford Street, just behind Oxford Street, and when I would walk down to go to Soho, where our studio was in Denmark Street, I used to walk past HMV, and that's where I thought, God, I can hear that perfect beat. Even though, well, you know, when you're in a studio and you hear it so often, it gets into your head. So when you're sleeping, you hear it all. So I'm thinking, oh, is that all in my head or what? And there it was playing at the record store, which was like, yeah, this is my song, everyone. Because it was my first, you know, first ever song I'd written for a record.
Okay. When was the last time when you listened the whole Truthdare Doubledare album?
Yesterday.
before this edition? When was it?
Well, the thing is, with the release of the 40th edition, I've been working with Cherry Red London Records to get this together. So I was sent all the rough copies from the tape that we used, just to see if anything needs polishing up. And I mean, they've done a really good job on it. The sound is absolutely incredible, and they've done a few things on my vocal as well, which I'm very pleased about. So you know, they've just tuned me up a little bit and stuff. Yeah, so what was the question?
Where was the last time when you heard the whole album?
Yeah. So, but I've been hearing. Yeah, I've been hearing it. I mean, I hear it quite often these days, but I've been hearing it for the past 6 months. Not all the time, but, you know, it's been there, and, you know.
I never heard before songs like Meaning of Love, Love Line. I just, few days ago when I just put it on Spotify, and I said, whoa, that's a good song. And yesterday when we just write it and I just check your Facebook account, and there was the videos from the sessions, from the Love Line and Meaning of Love. I never heard that song. That's really cool songs. Wow.
Yeah.
So that's a kind of treasure. So
yeah, it's a mixture, that one. It's a big crossover with Jimmy and myself. It's a very interesting track because it was one of the first that I was singing when I was kind of auditioning, and it was Run From Love, and they didn't put it out as a single, so I couldn't sing I couldn't sing Jimmy's song, so I rewrote it and sort of took on a little bit of his persona. And I mean, I wouldn't dare do that now, but at the time it felt okay to do it. Yeah.
During the 80s, are you also touring with the Bronski Beat?
80s, well, I think we went to America late 80s. It could have been even the 90s, actually, with Steve.
Well, the question is if you perform also Jimmy's songs like Smalltown Boy or what?
Oh, we did, yeah.
You also sang it live? How did you feel that time? Okay, that was okay for you to perform Y and Smalltown Boy?
Well, I mean, music is for everybody, and whether you're singing your own songs or whether you're singing other people's songs, it's what's in the song. It's like this value of the music that you have within here that touches your heart, that makes it such a big hit. And you know, you when you're singing other people's songs, you're kind of paying homage to their work, really. And it's just a cover. I'm just doing a cover. And once a song is out into the public, well, you know, it's for everybody. So that's how I see it, anyway. I mean, it wasn't just me singing. You know, Steve sang a few songs from the Age Consent. And we also did a single with Steve on the guitar playing Smalltown Boy, and I'm singing in the background falsetto. Have you heard that song?
Oh no.
Oh yeah, you should check it out. It's got a white circle with a boy on a. It's like a silhouette thing with a boy holding a suitcase, I think. It's on YouTube, so you can check that out. Yeah, it's a great song. And as you said, the other new song, which is what's the other one? Love Line.
Love Line, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Love Line. That's one of Steve's songs that he was always asking me to do and sing on. And now I'm working on a new project with Steve. It's interesting how you can bring people back to life with what they have nowadays.
Steve and Larry aren't here anymore. Would they have been happy with this release?
Yeah, they really would have been, yeah. Because Steve and I we was always wanting it to come out, even 20 years ago. I wanted a re-release. But no, the doors were locked, and that lock is the secret.
Right now, so.
It's a secret.
Okay, everyone talks about the fashion from the 80s, but what do you miss most from the 80s?
What do I miss most? The laughter. Laughing, dancing, enjoying myself. Having people being really nice to you. I did have a couple of knife attacks, which weren't very pleasant, but I also had a guy on my right who was an ex-policeman, and he was kind of like my bodyguard, really, because I felt a little bit, you know, we were talking about pressure before, but I just felt a little bit uneasy sometimes because of the backlash from the Jimmy's fans. You know, some people really didn't like it, you know, and thought it was outrageous that I took over Bronski Beat, you know. And there was one time we were opening a supermarket in South London, and there was quite a few people, and we were signing stuff and that. And I saw this guy come in, walk straight through the crowd, and I thought, he's going to do something. I went, Peter, look. And he just came at me like this, and I just saw a flash of silver as he pulled me away. And I thought it was a knife. He had a knife. But he legged it. He just went, so, you know. But that was, you know, that sort of made me a little bit edgy about that sort of thing. Not greatly, but I just thought, oh God, you're so vulnerable as a person of you know, in the public eye.
Okay, turn the page. So tell me the funniest thing that has ever happened during the Bronski Beat period.
Say that again. Say again.
The funniest. Turn the page and tell me what's the funniest thing that has ever happened to you during Bronski Beat.
Oh, crikey.
Something funny or something. The best moment.
Oh, gosh. We had a manager. I mean, it's not really, well, it's sort of funny, but it's funny because it's a film. You are watching, you're in a film. Right, so we had this manager in America. And we were in Los Angeles, Steve and I, just, and the gang. And Steve, I can't quite remember, was he Bernie? I think his name might be Bernie, actually. And he was saying to Steve, I want you to go to Tampa, Florida. And we were in Los Angeles. And we're going, well, no, we've just come from East Side, which was from New York to Los Angeles. Now he wants us to go back that way, another 6-hour flight and that. And Steve said, no, we're not doing that. We'll just stay here and we can do some more gigs here, because we were there for a big Pride event, Long Beach Pride, you know, anyway, and all that. And he said, no, I want you there. I said, no, so I'm not doing it. So he got really angry, Steve, got really angry and started punching the guy up. And he pulled this gun out on Steve. He brought this gun out and said, look, if you don't get off me, I'm going to shoot you. And I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. And Steve said, look, just give us the tickets and we'll go and book our tickets for Florida, because they were meant for, I can't remember where they were meant for now. So that was the most sort of wild thing. You see it as a film. And anyway, the guy just says, oh, I'm going to sue you now. You're going to get fucked, you know, you're going to get, you know, brought down this. I'm going to take you to court. I'm going to sue you and sue you. I mean, he never did, because Steve never had any money. Right. But that was crazy. That was crazy.
Are you still interested in new music?
I'm not actually. I've changed.
Radio?
Well, I can kind of listen to new music. Are you talking about my music?
I'm talking music in general.
General, yeah. No, I don't really listen to sort of pop music. I mean, I quite like some. I love the ambient stuff, and I study Indian Sanskrit mantra. So that's what I've been studying in the past 5 years, because I didn't, you know, my husband passed away after 15 years. So, and I was left, I didn't know what to do. So I managed to get hold of a place around the corner from me that were doing kirtan, which is mantra, Sanskrit mantra. And I went there and I thought, oh, this is great. Yeah, I used to do this a long time ago, and I've done it ever since. And I've sort of climbed the ladder really, where I've had I've done classes. I've taken on world mantras for people to sing with hundreds of people around me. And my friend Elise, she plays the harmonium. I also work with adults with learning difficulties and help them to progress their music. So every Friday we have a show online, and we all get together and we all try and Elise and I sing our own songs. So we've made up our own songs, and we sing them every week. But it's to encourage them really to move. Or some of them are totally locked in, and some of them really have a go at trying to play the keyboard and everything. So we give them all the encouragement, and we go over to centres every now and again and have a little party and that. So that's what I do really.
And what was your favorite artist during the 80s?
Oh, I mean, it has to be Depeche Mode. I think it has to be Depeche Mode because
of Basildon?
Sort of, but you know, I didn't really like them at the beginning, because it was like, if you were in a band in the 80s, you were like a bit like that with people. Oh, we don't talk to another band. Oh, look at them. It was a bit like that, which is so childish but funny. So I never kind of liked them. I was more into Alison Moyet's Yazoo, and I mean, I love Alison Moyet so much, and she was a dear friend together, and we had such a laugh with her as well.
You sang also Only You, right? Yeah.
Only me? Yeah. No, there was a few others. Oh, so I sang Only You. I did. I did, under my sheets. Yeah, so and then anyway, the time has gone on, and the more I listen to Depeche Mode, the more I think just very good. And I've seen them a few times as well, which is like awesome. So it has to be them.